Let's take a look at the race to finish in the top four and a place in next season's Champions League. Michael Bridge is back with me. This is tight, intriguing. Newcastle, as we can see, remain third, beaten by Arsenal on Sunday. But how much do they still hold the advantage here?
Yeah, I mean, they'll just hope that Sunday was a bit of a blip, Rob, after such a phenomenal few weeks, a phenomenal season. Let's have a look at what Newcastle have got left, because they've got a game in hand over Liverpool, which could be the key for them. Have they got their fixtures there? Yeah, there we go. So Leeds on Saturday, which is going to be such a crucial game for Sam Allardyce's first game at Ellen Road as well. Then it's Brighton, the game in hand for De Zerbi and Eddie Howe, a midweek game against Brighton. Then it's Leicester. Could that be a decisive match for Leicester? And then on the final day, Chelsea and Frank Lampard will want to end their campaign with a win. Will we have a new Chelsea head coach in the stand for that game? Stay with us on Sky Sports News throughout the week if there's news on that. So there are Newcastle's remaining fixtures. I don't think they're the worst set of fixtures for Eddie Howe and Newcastle, and I fully expect them to get over the line and there will be Champions League football there next season. OK, so you fully expect that, so that means we're now down one place with a few teams contending. I'm looking at Manchester United, consecutive defeats, and I'm also looking at this figure as well, because that, seeing how tight it is, could that come into play? Are they most at risk of missing out here? Well, Rob, we've been saying nearly every week on here that as brilliant as they've been in the domestic cups, are they going to get to a stage where the fatigue might set in the league? Against Spurs, they were 2-0 up at half-time, and for me, they were cruising. Then Spurs levelled, so they went away with a point. Eric Ten Hag wasn't happy with that. They lost at Brighton on Thursday, and they lost on Sunday at West Ham. So what do Manchester United have left? They've got a rare midweek off. I think it's the first midweek they've had since September. Obviously not counting the World Cup, of course. But Saturday they've got Wolves, whose season looks to be sorted. They will be in the Premier League next season. And again, Bournemouth away. What a huge match for United. Again, Gary O'Neill, one of the managers of the season. They are pretty much safe. Then after that, Chelsea they've got some hard fixtures the last few matches. That's Chelsea and Fulham. So look, they've got four sides. None of these managers will like me saying this, but they've got nothing really massive to play for. Yes, Premier League places are quite a lot of money, but in terms of staying up, Wolves are safe. Bournemouth are pretty much there. Chelsea are going to finish mid-table, and Fulham have had an excellent season under Marco Silva mid-table. Again, like Newcastle, a decent set of fixtures. But what's the rule? You've got to win them.
That's a new rule, I know. As for Liverpool, what is going on here? 6 wins in a row, and look where that's put them, right in contention, although, as you rightly pointed out, they've played a game more than Manchester United and Newcastle.
Yeah. I mean, 3 weeks ago when we were talking about the race for Europe, Liverpool were around there, and we were talking about them trying to avoid Europa Conference League football. Well, it looks very likely that now they are going to be in Europe, and how are they going to approach the Europa League if they finish fifth? What we do know is they're giving fourth place a real good go. I mean, it looked like they dropped 2 points at Spurs at home at Anfield last week. They were 3-0 up, 3-3. Then they went up the other end, a mistake at the back for Spurs, and they end up winning. Could those extra 2 points be key? What we do know is they're right on Manchester United's tails now. All Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp can do is win their final 3 fixtures. And there they are. Leicester away next Monday night. What an atmosphere that's going to be at the King Power. Then at home to Aston Villa, that's going to be a really tough game. Again, we talk about Gary O'Neill, manager of the season. Unai Emery, for me, right up there. Have the wheels come off a little bit over the last few weeks? Possibly. And then May the 28th, unless there's a miracle, Southampton will probably be down by then. So what will the atmosphere be like there at St Mary's that day? So Liverpool, probably fifth, I'd predict them to maybe say put them at the end, and Europa League football in what will be a very busy summer for them at Anfield. Yeah.
Too late for Tottenham. They're 6 points off it, but played a game more, and that goal difference at +7 doesn't help them.
No, it's been a tough few weeks. I mean, everyone's going to look back on that Newcastle result. It's funny, really, Rob, because the week Antonio Conte did that outburst at Southampton, they conceded a 95th minute penalty. They were actually about to go into third. That feels like years ago now, with everything that's gone on since. Antonio Conte left the club during the international break. He left them in the top 4. Clubs below them did have games in hand. I must say that Christian Stellini and the coaching staff stayed. Looking back on that, that was not a good idea at all. Ryan Mason's coming in interim charge and has done a decent job. He's done a very decent job. He got a point at home to Manchester United. Should have drawn at Liverpool with that comeback. Ended up losing 4-3. Decisions not going their way. Home to Crystal Palace on Saturday, a hard-fought 1-0 win. Harry Kane being the difference in the end. Now, a lot of Spurs fans say that let's have a year out of Europe. The new head coach can concentrate with things on the training field. But the way results went at the weekend, I think Spurs will get into Europe. That they're not going to get into the Champions League, but are they going to get into the 2 Europa League spots, or is it a Europa Conference League spot? I'm sure Spurs would prefer to be in the Europa League, of course, but Daniel Levy and the board would obviously prefer to be in Europe as well, with match day revenue, everything comes with that. So I think Spurs will get into Europe. That's a massive game Saturday for the Spurs fans who want to be in Europe and want to see their club in Europe. Villa, Unai Emery so keen to get into Europe as well. Brentford, the final home game of the season. Brentford have had an excellent season again under Thomas Frank. And that is a massive, massive game. Now, Sam Allardyce will be looking at that in his office now, and the training, about to go out for training and say, this is the game I'm targeting. I want to beat Spurs at home. You know, so that's a really, really intriguing one as well. But we'll see how Spurs finish. But for Ryan Mason, on a personal level as well, he said he wants the job. I personally don't think he'll get it, but he'll do himself plenty of favours if they end up having a positive end to the season. And for Ryan Mason as well, you know, I've spoken to him personally, talked about the likes of Vincent Kompany, Michael Carrick, ex-players doing well in the Championship. Will he look at that as well and maybe not stay with Spurs in the new coaching setup, but maybe go it alone as a manager? Yeah.
And we've got to get to Brighton as well, because 33, if they win their 2 games in hand, it takes them up to 61. If they'd won yesterday, that would have been 64. Yeah. And that goal difference would have been even better. So how much will they be kicking themselves after yesterday's result?
Massively so. And they picked up a few injuries as well. Roberto De Zerbi, very interested in after that. The post-match interview yesterday regarding that disastrous defeat against Everton. But, you know, fair play to Everton. They went there and were phenomenal, really. But, look, Brighton have still got a couple of games in hand over Tottenham. And there's the fixtures there for De Zerbi. What a match on Sunday that's going to be at the Emirates. Because Arsenal still clinging on to hope of the title. We'll be watching Everton v Manchester City in the title race. So that'll be a great atmosphere on Sunday. Then there's the game which will be huge for Newcastle as well at St James's, getting into the Champions League. Southampton, will they be all but down by then? That game, Rob, that one. The rearranged game between Manchester City, how key could that be for Brighton, their European hopes and the title race? And then Aston Villa, could that be a Europa League or Conference League playoff between Aston Villa and Brighton? So much to play for in the Premier League, and we're right into May now. It's so, so exciting.